to this episode of Jim Builds. Next up on the Cortina, now I'm pretty happy with how everything is mechanical. It's done, it's more fettling and there's a few other bits, but anyway, headlining. This is the first bit of the interior. It needs to go in before I can start doing the glass and all the other stuff, so I was going to use the original headlining, and I'll show. This is the original one. Doesn't look too bad till we compare it to a new one, and it looks very brown and dirty. So we're going to fit a new one. I've already put the rods in, which you can see just about there. They'll get a bit of a fettle when they go in. When I first did this, I took the headlining off as it was, left the rods in. Would recommend totally doing that because they have to go in a specific order. Don't take them out, keep your headlining, use it for reference. That's the main thing, first thing. Now I've just got to start putting this in. So I'm going to cut to another bit of video of me as a time lapse, and hopefully we'll figure out where it's going to sit. I've marked the centre of the headlining. I just need to mark the centre of the windscreen and the rear screen so I can get a lateral position on it. From there, I can start putting some tension in and figure out where things are going to sit. And then, all things being well, we should be in a position to glue it. We'll see. So watch as I put this in. So I've left it a couple of days. Everything seems to be okay. It's not really moved, which is great. I wanted it to get a bit of a stretch and sit there and get used to how it's going to sit. Because what I don't want to do is fit it and then it sort of contracts and then ended up looking very baggy, which is not what you want to avoid. But you need to keep this stuff warm. It works a lot better when you put a bit of heat on it. I found that when I was tensioning it again, I put a heat gun low and just gave it a couple of wafts of heat just to makes it a bit more supple. You can really feel you can stretch it a bit more and be a bit more get a bit more tension in it and actually reduce some of these sags, which is again very good tip, and this is something I'll do when I come to glue it in a little bit. But you also need a warm garage or a warm space. Now ideally I'd be having the car outside because then I can get the doors open, can do some work, whereas now I'm going to have to do the best of what I can in here. I'm just going to have to shimmy it, but to be fair, I'm not working on both sides of the car at the same time. I'm only going to work on one side, then the other, so I can do this side, bring the car further out, and then work on the passenger side. Problem is, as you can see, we had snow last night. Tip top. So the heat, I've put some heaters on. I'll show you the car. We've got a heater here, we've got a greenhouse heater, and that has actually made the car a bit warmer inside. But for a start, that is the front, and it's all looking good. And I've just got to rework some of the stuff at the back. We've got quite a bit of an excess here, but it's trying to get it tucked because it doesn't tuck. It doesn't really. There's nothing really to clamp it onto because it's actually meant to be glued to this bit here, and you've got a panel that goes over the top. So what we will do is we'll get the front sorted, which I'm largely happy with. It's got to sort that corner in the pillar. Get that one glued, and then because I've got to retension the back, I can just do a bit of adjustment there. Excuse me. Now to get it into the corners, I've done some cuts here, so it allows you to come around this corner. Granted, we're not coming all the way down here. Probably glue to, I think, put my hand underneath, to about where this clip is here, because that needs sort of rolling up on the inside inside here, there we go, gets tucked, and then we've got the that's roughly where the, and we've also got the rear sun visor to put in. So I'm going to cut that side, get that top corner sorted, and then we'll glue the inner edge. Just glue the inner edge to start with, reclamp it, get your tension back in. I'll leave it for a while, probably till tomorrow, so gives me time to then work on the back, and we'll then get that glued and the inner edges. And then you can trim the excess and glue the outside, and Bob's your auntie's living lover. So let's get on with it. So I've got the back a bit better. This hasn't been glued yet. I just wanted to check that I could get the tension right, and it is pretty tight. I'm very happy with that. Done a couple of cuts in the corner, which I may expand and do a couple more just here and here, just to give me that a little bit, because I'm getting a little bit of pucker in there. That I've just done as a test bit, just to check that I could get the tension, and obviously I can. I just need to, again, we need to put a couple of cuts in here so I can just alter where the pull is going. And obviously the same on this side, but the cornering is a lot better than I was expecting. Managed to actually get that quite nice. We'll just sort that bit. But before I carry on, I have been brushing the glue on. That is because I find I can control it better than spraying it. And I'm also using this, which you can buy from most DIY places. I got this from B&Q. It was an arm and a leg, but you know, it does the job. There we go. The reason I do that with the brush and with that paint is, like I say, I can control it, where it's been sprayed, where it's been used, but also that's got a pretty decent open time. An open time with adhesives is obviously, as it sounds, how long you can leave it before you have to adhere part A to part B. With a glue like that, you've got 20 minutes. So given that we're in a room temperature, let's say the heaters at best are making it decent, but not, it's not a warm day. Certainly in summer it would be less than 20 minutes, but I think it's okay. So by the time I've brushed it on, we've lost a couple of minutes from that side, so side A to side B. So you've still got some plenty of working time, and I can get the tension in, I can just adjust it. It's a little tacky, but there's still that movement, and that's what you're going for. Spray adhesive, when I've used it in the past, I've found that the open time is a lot less. So that means that you've got to be precise with how you work, and be happy with it. That's just my point on adhesives, why I'm using that. You can see some crease in here, but we're yet to come and do the sides. You want to get the front and the back tension correct, get it positioned how you want it in the centre and all that other business, and then you do the sides. So we'll do the inside edges of these, and you can move from there. You'll also see when I've been gluing the front and when I do the back is that I also put some glue on the headliner, and because this has been pinched for a couple of days, you can see these creases here, and that is where obviously it's folded around the body, so I know where to put the glue. So it's always handy, if you're new to this and you're using this for a reference, is pin it as best as you can in position, make sure you're happy with it, don't use any glue till you're ready to, and that also allows you to get that bit of stretch in there and just see how it's going to sit. You know, I'm doing this in winter time. It's those odd couple of days between Christmas and New Year. It's cold, obviously it's snowed as well, so I've seen what it's like when it's really cold. Now I've been running a heater in here and building the temperature up, and I'd actually say it's quite warm. I actually had to take my jacket off. I was expecting it to be like a fridge in it, but it's not. It's done a really good job. But also using the heat gun has helped. Whilst I think about it, I didn't mention this before, I also bought 100 bulldog clips in various sizes. They were about 7-8 quid off Amazon and came pretty quickly, so I definitely recommend those. And if you've got some, or if you're also ordering these, get some edge trim. This is the stuff that you put. You're going to put something very similar on the beading here afterwards. Once you've like a finishing seal. This isn't the actual stuff. This is something I used for a different project a couple of years ago. So it's been sat on my bench, and I've cut some smaller pieces. I've just used them on the corners here, and it has helped keep the tension in places where it can't, but also you can actually spread the load with these. So if you pull it, you can just wing those up. But what I have done here, I found that if you use a bigger clip and then go in with a smaller clip next to it, you can actually keep driving this line across. Because what happens is when you first put this one on and you pull here, the tension is it sort of starts at a point somewhere further back, and it sort of spreads out to where your hand is. So you're pulling here, but it's actually slightly wider, so you'll end up you'll see when you first do it, your bulldog clips will start to pull off the edge. So that's why I put these ones in, and I can sort of drive that edge without putting too much tension on, but it holds the tension brilliantly. I'm actually surprised how well that's worked. But enough of me waffling. I am going to now take these clips off, knowing that we can get the finish that we want to get, and then we'll get it glued. So I'll set the camera up and we'll go again. Right, so I've just put some cuts into this, and what I've tried to do, I don't know if I can show it on the camera very well, try and show you there, is when I've done these cuts, they're a bit rough and it's fine, we've got plenty of excess. By the time you've pulled that back round, and we're trimming probably from this line round anyway, they give you this excess for a reason. Anyway, I digress. When I've cut them, I've tried to do it so it's perpendicular to the point on which I'm cutting to. So I'm not cutting at it an angle whilst this is also going through at a different angle. I'm trying to keep it at 90 degrees, so stepping it round. It seems to work. It's not a perfect science, but it'll all come out, it'll be fine. Also, when you're cutting, be very careful to not cut too close to this stitch line, because the way it's been stitched, show you underneath, there is a double stitch here. So I've kept a bit of a gap there. There we go. And then I've avoided it here because you've got a double stitch. So you've got these two panels are stitched together, and there is a second stitch that holds this piece in here, and that is what that's the piece that is holding the ribbon. So what you don't want to do is cut through these stitches, because these will be locked. And what that is when you're stitching, you do a forward stitch and then do a back stitch to lock it in place, to essentially stitch the stitch to prevent it from unraveling. And when you explain this to people, is you use the word stitch about 7 times in a row for it to just about make sense. And that is something that will help you when you're doing this, because what you don't want to do is cut it and then you put some tension on it and this thing just goes ping, and that's it. You're then in for a new headliner, which is not what you want to be doing. Anyway, enough waffling again. Time to glue it. Right, that's the inside edge all done all the way around. We've even done the tucks on these. So next up will be, well, I'll let this cure for a bit, generally the tension is excellent. I've got a little bit of puckering there which I'll take out with a heat gun. I'm very happy with how I've managed to get these C-pillars, because when I was trying to do it dry I struggled with it. So I've put some glue on here, given it some tension. It's actually held quite nicely, and then put these clips in. These aren't, there's no adhesive under this bit, it's just there to hold the tension till the glue holds. But we're rocking. That's all nicely held. Then we've done some tucks on the B pillar. Looks a little straighter, but I'm not going to get too upset over that. Once you've got the pinch trim on there, it'll straighten out. Very happy with it. So now I'm going to go get some lunch, maybe build a snowman, and then look at getting rid of some of this excess. So the glue's held very nicely, which is, I shouldn't be surprised about that, but I feel like I am. Anyway, next up obviously we've got to cut some holes. So we've got some visors on A and B, and then we've got the interior light here. Where is it? I found it a minute ago. Here. Got a little square there. Sorry, square here. And then the rear view mirror. I'm going to start with the big holes. We'll make a small incision, and then I'll slowly do a diagonal to where it needs to be, and then fit those bits. But I do have the original liner here to use as a reference, which is good. That's the sun visors and all the whole stuff done. Fits good. We've not gone any further than what we need to. These are getting repainted. These are going to get recovered. So doing that at a different time. But I just needed these in whilst I was just finishing off the headlining. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. I am a complete amateur at this. I've never done this before. This is the first time we've done it. So I just want to show that we can do it. We can do it in the garages. We can do it when it's snowing. We can do it when it's cold. The only things I'm going to say, if you're going to take anything from this video, is firstly, patience. Patience is definitely key with this. Take your time. Do your measures. There's no rush on this. You're not going for a speed challenge. You want a good finish, and it's going to really upset you if you go to all this effort and then you fudge it at the last minute because you've not thought about your actions. Anyway, so definitely patience. Heat is most definitely your friend. If you end up with creases in here between these panels, because you can end up with pressure, the way it's stretched, there's loads of the business to do with the stitches and things I don't really know about. If you waft the heat gun on it, you'll see the material slowly pull it out. Put a bit of heat on, take the heat off, it should pull it. If it doesn't, try it again. You might have to do it a couple of times to get it to work. But what I found when I was doing the tension from front to back, so this is when I was doing the back screen, in fact when I was doing the front screen as well, is I was heating the material not only at the front where I'm about to pull it from, but also some of these panels here I put a bit of heat into that, and it allowed me to just get that stretch and not have to go through that process. So I'd say try and work, depending on which way you're going. If you're doing the front, come and panel in, get some heat into it, then get the heat into the pit that you're actually going to pull, and then do that, and that will get rid of a lot of that stuff early on, so you're not having to fight it afterwards. And clips and clamps and all that business, if you get as many as you can, it's better to have more and not need them than need them and not have them. And give it a go. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? Actually, I did it. I mean, I'm terrible at this stuff. So if you've not done it already, please like the video, please share it, subscribe, do all that business, because that's how this thing works apparently. And I hope to see you soon on the next episode of the Cortina build. Thanks for watching. See you soon.